Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I'll be reviewing the Ariete Certezza, and forgive me if I mispronounce that, but I'm doing my best. This is a currently 11.7 BR premium main battle tank in the Italian Ground Forces tech tree. The pack that it comes in currently costs $69.99 USD when not on sale, and comes with 20 days of premium time and 2,500 golden eagles. With that said, in this video, I'll be going over everything that you need to know about this MBT, including its stats, how it plays. I'll go over its strengths and weaknesses, I'll give some scores in several key areas, and then I'll give my final recommendation and if I feel this vehicle is worth purchasing or not. With that said, if you like this kind of video, please consider subscribing, but without further ado, let's get into the review. Now to start, I placed its stat card here on the side of the screen. Important things to note are its armament, its turret reverse rate, and its power to weight ratio. Now for how it plays. In short, the Certezza is just a standard Ariete from the regular Ground Forces tech tree, except that it has a camo net that you can add or remove. This means that the Certezza is a very hard-hitting MBT with decent mobility and subpar survivability. In short, this vehicle is best as a sniper, as it features Gen 2 thermals, an extremely powerful 120mm cannon with DM53 APF SDS, and decent enough gunner's optics with 8 to 12 times zoom. This allows for a very good ability to spot enemies from far across the map and pen them with great reliability, as the DM53 has over 620mm of armor pen at max and around 598mm of armor pen at 1 kilometer of range. This role of sniping is further evidenced by the fact that it has just decent mobility overall and subpar armor, as those deficiencies will typically preclude you from playing in other roles as effective as other MBTs such as the Leopard 2 or an Abrams. This however can slightly change depending on if you have the 5.5 ton war kit installed or not. Without the war kit, the Certezza gains about a 10% better power to weight ratio and is noticeably more mobile, thus making it a better flanker. It still won't be amazing in that role, but it'll be better than with the war kit attached. If you have the war kit installed, sniping is better as you won't be moving as much, and the limited additional armor might make a difference on occasion at the longer ranges that you can expect while sniping. In theory, you could also frontline and brawl with the war kit equipped, as it will increase your armor, but even with the war kit, most enemy APF SDS shells will easily slice through even your turret cheeks, let alone the rest of the tank. Regardless, if you manage to brawl with success, which is theoretically possible, the Certezza also has a reload speed that can be as low as 5 seconds, depending on crew skill. Ultimately though, sniping is likely to be the best role for this vehicle, as it makes best use of its very powerful cannon and limits the weakness that is its survivability. With that said, I think that ideally you should be able to equip and remove the war kit at the beginning of each match before people spawn in if you're feeling like sniping, or you could remove it if you feel like you might need more mobility, such as for flanking and base capping. Again, that's not what we currently have in War Thunder, but just a suggestion, guys. There are some maps, such as Pradesh, that emphasize sniping due to the long range of it, whereas other maps, such as those in cities, don't require such long ranges. As I said before, the war kit doesn't matter at close range in most instances, as it will typically be penned by most APF SDS shells with ease, though it can make a difference at range. Now with all that said, let's get into its strengths and weaknesses, and first for its strengths. This vehicle features a very powerful 120mm cannon with the excellent DM53 APF SDS shell, of which has over 620mm of armor pen at max. Second, it has a fantastic turret reverse rate of between 28 and 40 degrees per second depending on crew skill. Third, it features Gen 2 thermals on both the gunner and commander optics. For its fourth strength, it features a laser warning receiver. For its fifth strength, it features an excellent reload time of between 5 and 6.5 seconds depending on crew skill. For its sixth strength, when not equipped with a war kit add-on armor, speed is fairly good, though still of course not amazing. Beyond this, while an HMG would be preferred, the Certezza still features 3 LMGs overall, with 2 being mounted on top of the tank. These can aid with getting assist and may even destroy the occasional aircraft. And of course finally, it features premium RP and SL bonuses. Now for its weaknesses. First, the armor is barely below average when using the war kit and is definitely subpar without the war kit. Second, speaking of, when using the war kit, speed is also subpar. Even without the war kit, speed is just about average, maybe a touch above. For its third weakness, this vehicle only has 8 smoke grenades, which is low for this BR. It also lacks the ability to use ESS. And finally, it has a largely unarmored upper and lower glacis plate. Further, there is a huge gap around the cannon that functions as an easy to hit weak spot. Now with that said, let's get into how I scored this vehicle. And first, for armament, I give it an 8.25 out of 10. Simply put, the armament on the Certezza is easily among the best for premium MBTs around this BR. It has a fantastic 623mm of armor pen at max, great Gen 2 thermals, great optics with up to 12 times zoom, and a fantastic reload that can be as low as 5 seconds. If the Certezza had Gen 3 thermals and a top-mounted HMG, I'd scored a bit higher, but 2 top-mounted LMGs and Gen 2 thermals are still plenty sufficient. Mix in an excellent turret traverse speed, and you have a surprisingly fantastic MBT in terms of armament. Now for mobility, I give it a 5 out of 10. As with the survivability score that I'll be going over in just a moment, the mobility on the Certezza is somewhat dependent on if you have the war kit attached or not. Without it, you're probably looking at a 5.25 out of 10 for mobility, maybe even a 5.5 out of 10. With the kit, however, and you're going to be looking at a 4.5 or a 4.75 out of 10. This is because it brings your power to weight ratio down by about 10%, which is very noticeable when using this vehicle. In all though, the Certezza is about average in terms of mobility. It'll more or less be able to get you to where you need to be, though won't be able to move with the likes of the Leopards, Abrams, and T-80s. At least the Certezza is still noticeably quicker than the Challenger 2. Now for survivability, I give it a 4.25 out of 10. As stated in the mobility section, whether you equip the war kit will matter a bit for survivability. With the war kit, you will have a slightly below average amount of survivability. Without the war kit, however, and you will have a definitively below average survivability relative to other MBTs. Regardless of that, the Certezza also has a low smoke grenade count, it lacks ESS, and also has somewhat large minimally protected ammo and fuel storage throughout the vehicle. While it can survive a few shots from the front, especially from autocannons and at a range or an angle from actual MBTs, the Certezza unfortunately lacks reliable protection against anything outside of small cannons or heat FS from the front. If nothing else, at least it gets a laser warning receiver, which does help a little bit when it comes to survivability. Now overall, I give it a 5.75 out of 10. If you guys couldn't tell, the armament is basically carrying this vehicle on its back. If you're looking for a purpose-built sniper, the Certezza is easily among the best premium MBTs that you can purchase for that role. If you're looking for something with more general use, however, this vehicle just isn't it. While the Certezza can devastate enemies from across the map, it is only decent when it comes to mobility and pretty mediocre when it comes to survivability. While there are no true glass cannons insofar as MBTs are concerned around this BR, the Certezza does get uncomfortably close. Now with all that said, do I recommend the Ariete Certezza for purchase? Unless there's a major sale and you like sniping, then no, I do not. While the armament on this vehicle is absolutely devastating, the mobility and more so the survivability of this vehicle hold it back from doing much other than sniping. I would advise considering purchasing the Centauro RGO over the Certezza if you're looking for a faster vehicle and don't mind the lack of armor on the Centauro, and if you want something to grind for the Italian ground tech tree. In my opinion, it's better for what it is than the Certezza any day of the week. Otherwise, I would advise the purchase of the Leopard 2A4M or the T80 UE1 over the Certezza if you just want a good premium MBT at this BR, regardless of country, as those vehicles have better armor, mobility, and similar firepower compared to, again, the Certezza. I don't feel like the Certezza is bad, because it isn't, but it has middling armor at best, middling mobility, and great firepower. That leads to a vehicle that's very capable, especially as a sniper, but isn't on par with many other vehicles in many other important ways. Additionally, as you may have guessed, I will not be giving the Certezza my Tankenstein seal of approval. It's a fun vehicle, but it's a bit niche and is too expensive for me to give a general recommendation. Now with all that said, thank you all so much for watching. If you don't mind, please consider commenting on this vehicle with what you think of my review and of course on the Certezza itself. Also, if you like this video, please consider pressing that like button because it helps me out tremendously. In much the same way, if you like this video, also consider subscribing because that also helps me out tremendously. Either way, thanks so much for watching and I'll see you all on the other side. Take care everyone.